Hi, I am Emily Land, and I'm a Spanish teacher here at Arlington High School, and I've been here about 12 years. This is my 12th year teaching here. I'm in the same classroom, and I got here sort of through an interesting route. Way back in 2003, I was playing soccer at the University of Tennessee at Martin and was one of the fastest girls in the soccer field, and I always had been. And something didn't feel right. We had to do this lovely thing called the Cooper test. Should be named after Coach Cooper, but it was 1.5 miles in 12 minutes and used to not be a problem for me, but when we came back after break, I started to discover I couldn't make my times. I couldn't run as fast, I couldn't get as far, and I was developing sort of a weird limp in one of my legs when I was running. After I started not making my times, I started getting some pain in one of my legs. So I went back to my team trainer and said, something's not right, I'm going home. And they took x-rays, and the x-rays showed like a 7-centimeter knot on the inside of my left femur, on the outside, sort of on the outside of my knee. And he said, we need to biopsy this, it doesn't look right. So I went in for surgery, and that when he came out from the operating room, he looked at my parents and said, I can tell you without a biopsy that it's cancer. A week later, I was at home and the phone rang. And my stepdad at the time answered the phone, and we could tell it was the doctor just based on the way he was talking. And I found out that I had osteosarcoma, which is bone cancer, because I heard my stepdad say, so you want to start chemo first. I had become a cancer patient. I wasn't allowed to go back to school because they had to start chemo, because this cancer, if it's caught early, you have about a 65 or 70% survival rate if it doesn't spread. If it does spread, your survival rate's about 20%. So they couldn't run the risk of me going back to school. So here I am 6 weeks from finishing my sophomore year in college, and I'm all of a sudden completely dependent on my parents. Everything I've known about being in college and playing soccer and feeling like I was growing up and knew where my life was going was gone overnight. I was admitted to St. Jude in April of 2003 and started chemotherapy almost immediately. So I still had about 8 months of chemotherapy to go through after I'd had my surgery. So I spent that entire next year getting therapy, about 10 or 11 months, I guess, getting chemotherapy every 3 weeks, until they finally decided that I was in remission and didn't have to have treatment anymore. So I took the next couple of months off and I decided to go back to college, and I majored in Spanish. I stuck with it. I went back to UT Martin. I took a leap of faith with a brand new baby and a new marriage and said, I'm gonna go be a teacher. So I went back to college and I got my teaching degree and got my master's, and I started at Arlington. And I have loved it here ever since. And one of the things I love the most about it now is that I get to be the sponsor of a club called Princesses for Patients. About 3 years ago, a former student of ours named Allie Heathcock came to me and said, hey, I saw this really cool thing on the news about these college students who go around to children's hospitals dressed up as Disney patients and they help kids feel better. Do you think we could start something like that here? I said, okay, we'll see what we can do. So Allie worked like crazy and got places like ColourPop to partner with us, and an online company called Angel Secret to partner with us, and they donated makeup and they donated some costumes, and we raised money to be able to buy costumes. And we go now, our club has grown to, I think we have 38 members this year, and they're some of the most amazing students that I've ever come in contact with. And we usually leave about 4 and we go down to visit at Target House, which is where St. Jude patients can live with their families for free and while they're in treatment. And so they make a call over the announcements when we get down there that the princesses are here, and because we've been going for 3 years now, when we hear them make that call, kids come running down, and we play with cancer patients, and we play with their brothers and sisters, and we play with the parents come down and they will play and craft with us, and we do all sorts of things. It's become a real honor for me to have gone through the journey I did, because I still get to pay it forward now with the kids that go to Arlington and want to be a part of this club and want to help bring that joy to these other kids. And it's a neat experience, and I think it's something that's going to live on in the legacy of Arlington High School, and I am thrilled to have gone through what I went through in order to make that a reality. By having gone through what I went through and becoming a teacher now, I can bring Disney to these kids and happiness to these kids through some of the amazing kids that go to Arlington High School.